So let's go back in time.
Sure.
To the afternoon before the night of the T-shirt.
The night of the T-shirt.
The night of
like
the
that.
T-shirt.
Yeah, it's a good name for a movie, really.
Did you have a plan for that? Like, did you know you were going to do that?
No. I knew I was going to wear the T-shirt, but just to wear the T-shirt, you know. And I had no plan. Didn't even tell my wife, Kelly. Didn't tell the kids. It's just, I was up there and I just got more and more angry. I thought, I'm really mad about this, you know, leave us alone, what the hell? And then I don't really have a strong recollection of doing elbows up.
Really?
I did have Gordie Howe come into my mind of like, we're not going to attack anybody, but if you attack us, you're going to get some elbows. And there was no premeditation whatsoever. It's just strong feelings of leave us alone, you know. I was just up there thinking, well, a whole bunch of people are going to see this. And I don't think I can stay quiet on it.
You heard him. Mike Myers was angry as he took the stage that night, just as millions of Canadians were angry at Donald Trump's threat to annex Canada. He happened to be wearing that T-shirt in private protest, and then he just decided to show it to the world. That defiant message, then the tapping of that elbow and the mouthing of elbows up. A reference to the playing style of Canadian hockey legend Gordie Howe. It was a night that began with his first sketch on Saturday Night Live in a decade, and his impression of Elon Musk, complete with chainsaw. But ending with that message to people back home that brought a tidal wave of fierce national pride.
The next day I got a call from my brother saying, it's blowing up. And I'm like, what's blowing up? Oh God, did Elon, yeah. And it was like, no, the elbow's up. And I was like, oh yeah, I did elbows up, that's right, yeah. I don't know, I was very surprised by it, but very also happy that it wasn't just me who was feeling like something has to be said.
And it just kept growing. Elbows Up caught fire everywhere.
I want to tell you about a new hero of mine, a new Canadian hero. Mike Myers has been so inspirational.
Not only did he wear this shirt and shake it, shake it, shake it with pride, but he also did elbows up, elbows up.
Just look it up. It's a hockey reference. It's fantastic.
Elbows up.
Elbows up.
Canadians take care of Canadians. We don't need to be anybody's 51st state.
To you, Mike Myers, toques off to you.
And there was more to come from Mike Myers on SNL. The Canadian Tire T-shirt was next. The Maple Leafs after that. Whoa! With Myers, the kid from Toronto who'd made so many millions laugh with Wayne's World, Austin Powers, Shrek, and beyond, had suddenly become a kind of folk hero in his home country. Elbows Up. Canada is not for sale. No way, no how.
I was in Ottawa not too long ago, for the first time since the 51st state stuff came up. It blew my mind, the number of Canadian flags, the degree of patriotism that was evident everywhere, right? Somebody came up to me and starts talking about Trump. And they said to me, Canada needs more Mike Myers.
That's nice.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I would be nothing without Canada. The Canadian taxpayer put money into the government. The government subsidized our rent when I was a kid. They accepted my parents from Liverpool, England, who had no capital whatsoever, and put my parents' kids through a very fantastic high school. There was a program at Stephen Leacock where I went that was a TV program to get more people into television. I got into that. I would have gone to York University, that would have been subsidized. I worked at the CBC.
Congratulations.
Thank you, no, but I'm saying that's taxpayer money. That somebody paid their taxes is why I'm here talking to you about something, you know what I mean? And I don't forget, I'm very grateful. I also love Canada. You know, it's, if I wasn't Canadian, I would want to be Canadian. You know what I mean? I like our vibe. I like who we are. I think it's great. So for me, it just came from a place of, you know, they brought me to the dance, you know, Canada, and it's my country, you know.
You've written about national pride,
Mm-hmm.
and you make a point in your book of those years from, I think, 67 to 77, starting with, you know, Expo.
It was our cultural revolution, yeah.
Indeed,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it, right? And then it dropped a little bit, it seems to me, right?
Yeah.
And here it is.
Yeah.
Like, what does that tell you about Canadians?
They know what they have, you know. It's. I think of another Canadian, a poet, Joni Mitchell, talking about paved paradise, put up a parking lot, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, you know. Certainly when you leave Canada, you know, there's just a vibe here, you know. My shoulders drop down to my hips, my jaw unclenches. It's just, there's a sanity, there's a reasonableness, there's a grown-upness, you know, that is unique to this country. And it's, you know, what is it, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding, you know what I mean? It's great, you know.
You had the Canada Not For Sale shirt. Canadian Tire was next.
Yes.
How
Well, I
many
wanted
people
us to
did you
buy Canadian, that was the whole thing. Because a boycott had ensued, and I was like, wow, buy from Canada, Canadian Tire.
So you go from explaining Gordie Howe to some Americans, I imagine, to
Yes.
explaining Canadian Tire.
Yes.
Then came the Carney ad.
Yes.
How'd that come about?
They called and said, would you like to meet the Prime Minister and do a little video thing?
Go. Mr. Prime Minister, Mike Myers, what are you doing here? I just thought I'd come up and check on things.
You live in the States.
Yeah, but I'll always be Canadian. Do you remember Mr. Dressup, the children's show on CBC? What were the names of Mr. Dressup's two puppet friends?
Casey and Finnegan,
Bud the
Spud,
Howie?
Meeker.
Wow, you really are Canadian.
But let me ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada?
There will always be a Canada.
All right, elbows up.
Elbows up.
I've been talking to my friends here in Canada, talking to my brothers, Peter and Paul, and talk about politics. And my brother Peter said, there's this guy, Carney, look into it. And it seemed that Carney was left, but a centrist, at a time when we would probably need to unify against enemies, foreign and domestic. Is he the almighty? No. But is he the alternative? Yes. And that's the other calculation I made.
You've obviously had a lot of love for what has happened the last number of weeks. You've also got trolls out there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What is that?
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
People say, what's this guy? He lives in America.
And I love that's the very first thing I said, because I thought, how am I going to get hit? Oh, I don't live here anymore. Well, I was like, it's the first line of my book. Everybody knows I don't, you know. But, you know, Lauren Michael said, you know, painters go to Paris, Rome ruled by the sword, the broadsword, and Britain by the three-masted ship. America is ruled by the moving image. It's the axis mondial of the moving image, you know what I mean? And, you know, when I worked on Wayne's World, there was a Dutch cinematographer, a Czech clapper loader, you know, everybody's from elsewhere, you know what I mean?
If you play hockey, you come to North America.
Yeah,
It's where the league is.
Exactly, exactly. And then, you know, my wife is American and I have 3 American kids, you know. They're New Yorkers, you know. They actually are more New Yorkers than they are American. It's sort of like they live in a republic off the coast of America. And that's where they want to live. So, you know, I'm their dad and I guess that's where we live, you know.
What does their dad tell them about Canada?
I tell them, they roll their eyes a lot because he's Canadian, you know. I go through the list, you know, of inventions and of Canadians. My daughter Sunday calls me Canadad, and they get it. He's Canadian. I say, you know that guy, and they go, yeah, he's Canadian.
But your parents instilled in you a pride of the United Kingdom.
Of Liverpool and the United Kingdom,
It's almost like you've become your dad now for your kids.
It's true, very true, yeah. You know, England was this utopia that they had come from. And our house looked like a little shrine to Liverpool. And my house looks a little bit too. There's tons of like Mounties and big giant picture of the Queen.
And you've written a song
Yes.
about Canada
Yeah.
for CBC Kids.
Yeah.
Manitoba, Alberta, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, Saskatchewan, Ontario, Quebec.
Well, I wrote a song a long time ago for my kids of all the different provinces. The family reads it every Canada Day. And I over-celebrate Canada Day down there. And I often call the 4th of July, it's like America's Canada Day, right? As if I don't know, but.
Newfoundland, British Columbia, but the song's not over yet. Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and good old Nunavut. And good old Nunavut. Wow!
Nice!
Well, you know what? My kids are American, so and I live in the United States. Okay. So every Canada Day, I have them sing the song that I wrote that explains all the different provinces and all the different territories.
Even here, it's clear that he's all about all things Canada. Mike Myers has always worn his heart on his sleeve on that stuff, so it really should have been no surprise to anyone that when Donald Trump raised the idea of a 51st state, and when Myers had a chance to make a statement on that, he did, big time.
To bring it back to the T-shirt.
Yeah.
That sounds like a corny question, I guess, but any regrets? I mean, you're
None.
giving that message to Canadians.
Yeah.
But you're also.
I thought it was a message just to Canadians. I thought Elbows Up was really for my brothers, to be honest. You know what I mean?
But you're also, flipping the bird to Donald Trump in a weird kind of way.
I don't feel that. I'd be happy to. It's not my politics. I don't, I grew up, my parents were in World War II and fought the fascists, so if you want to say that I'm anti-fascist, count me in, that's fine. But it was just leave us alone. That's all it was. Just, we love you guys. What are you doing? This is madness. We love Americans. But we can love Americans and not want to be Americans. You know what I mean? And there is a difference,
If that's your message to the White House,
Yeah.
then what is your message with that and that to Canada, to
Please don't be afraid. We have nothing to be afraid of. They're not, if we just hold the ground and just say, no. I actually like what Prime Minister Carney's doing with well, that's not going to happen. We don't have to get anti-American and ugly about it. It's just, yeah, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Because it isn't.
What have you learned about Canadians in all of this?
That we're way more, I have to say, this generation of Canadians is so inspiring to me. They know what they have. They don't want to lose it. There's Sinn Féin. I'm not advocating the IRA, but I do love the messaging of we ourselves. You know what I mean? I love the concept of we're going to determine how we are perceived in the world. There will be a Canadian voice that comes out that will be universally recognized as a voice, as a movement, because too many Canadians are aware of who they are. And if I've had a small part to play in that, I'm very, very honored with a U. And I just thought it was possible. I just thought it was possible. And I think this next generation is going to know it's possible. And I'm really proud of this generation of Canadians.
Your national pride is tremendous.
It is, and it's a lot to be proud of. And I go around the world and people tell me things, you know what I mean? I don't even have to sell it. It's not, this isn't salesmanship. This is just, from my point of view, observation. And it really is what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding. And why is it bad to be polite? Why is it bad to be nice, to be tempered in your opinion, to not always hurl invective, but to just offer your point of view, put it on the table, pick it up, don't pick it up. What's wrong with that? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Isn't that what being an adult is? An adult is speaking your truth with kindness and speaking so that you can be understood, not so that you can manipulate and hurt people's feelings. And I think that is a tenet of Canada, is truth with kindness, you know.
Can you catch?
I can catch. Yes.
Where did you get that?
I got it on Amazon. When the whole talk of tariffs and all that stuff started happening, I said, I bet somebody's got a t-shirt. And so I bought it. It came the next day, God bless Amazon. And I got like a whole bunch of different t-shirts. But I'd like to give that to you as a gift, actually, because you said bring the t-shirt. And I thought, anybody that wants me to bring the t-shirt should have the t-shirt. So it is all absolutely hilarious to me and my friends in Toronto, my brothers, that any kind of catchphrase should emerge from something that came from my ankles. It didn't come from my intellect, you know what I mean? It came from, I don't know, like I just said, I just got madder and madder. It's not even, just leave us alone, dude, you know? That's as simple as it gets, you know?
And so it was that Canada's Mike Myers took a stand in front of millions, with his message heard round the world, but especially here at home. So what does he say now on the continuing threat to make Canada the 51st state?
Well, it's not going to happen. Nobody wants the 51st state. We like universal health care. And what I love about Canadians is they say, we want a government that empowers the least empowered and enfranchise the least enfranchised. It encourages people who have no capital to see that they themselves are capital. And I don't know. I think it's a great system here. It could always be improved. We could treat our Indigenous people better. I love the Truth and Reconciliation program we're going through right now. That doesn't say everything about a country. We're not always going to get it right, but at least we're a country that really does want to get it right.
And that's Canada.
That's Canada.